Texans 37, Jaguars 17. The final score today in week 3. Your Jaguars hosted the Texans and fell in embarrassing fashion. I came on here and told y'all that this needed to be a 3-phase win for the Jaguars, who were facing an 0-2 Texans team. A Texans team that had depleted ranks along the offensive line, 4 starters out. Defense had 4 starters out as well. Did not matter. The Jaguars did not come to play. I told you it needed to be a 3-phase win for the Jaguars, offense, defense, special teams. Instead, it was the exact opposite. It was a 3-phase loss in Jacksonville, really embarrassing at home in front of the hometown fans. I think this is the most embarrassing loss by this team in recent memory. It's the 6th straight home loss to the Texans for the Jaguars, and the Texans have now won 10 of 11 against the Jags. This is a franchise that kind of owns the Jaguars right now. Despite not being one of the better teams in the NFL over the past half decade, the Texans have still been able to stick it to your Jaguars consistently. A 3-phase loss here. I told y'all it needed to be a 3-phase win. It was a 3-phase loss. There's a lot of different ways to look at this one, but I think the best way to put it is it's just embarrassing. It was an embarrassment. The Jaguars players and coaching staff should be embarrassed after this loss. An 0-2 Texans team ravaged by injuries, a defense that struggled in both of their first 2 weeks, an offense that did some nice things. Obviously, you like C.J. Stroud. You got to give credit to him. Credit to the coaching staff of the Houston Texans. Got to give them credit for taking advantage of the Jaguars' mistakes. I think it's going to be a very good coaching staff under DeMeco Ryans. I think C.J. Stroud's going to be a really good quarterback for them. A lot of talented youngsters around them. We knew that. What we did not know is the depths that the Jaguars could fall to this week with unforced errors, with mental mistakes, with not being able to execute. And we found out 37-17. Looking at the offense, again, a 3-phase loss. Looking at the offense, untimely penalties, drops by some of your best players, fumbles. Jamal Agnew's 3rd fumble in the last 4 games for the Jaguars. You finally see Trevor crack in the second half, throwing that interception. You didn't see great protection, but kind of to be expected with what's been going on with the offensive line, some of the injuries and suspension with Cam Robinson. The defense, coverage busts throughout the game, missed tackles throughout the game, especially late, a lack of physicality and aggression. You're playing a bunch of backup offensive linemen, and you cannot get any sort of consistent pressure outside of Josh Allen, who's playing on a bum shoulder. It was bad. It was really bad for the defense. The coverage looked more like you expected it to look going into the season than what it had looked like through the first 2 weeks. And look, maybe the defense wasn't as bad as the other 2 phases today. I think that's probably fair to say, even though the coverage busts were embarrassing, the missed tackles were embarrassing. And again, I think that you got out-physicaled by the Houston Texans. But the offense was toothless. The special teams, that's where you really did not expect this to go wrong, right? The Jaguars have had really good special teams units under Heath Farwell so far. Brandon McManus had been perfect as a kicker so far for the Jaguars. You know, Jamal Agnew, supposed to be one of the best returners in the game. He wasn't able to get much done today at all in the return department. You allow a block field goal up the middle. Will Anderson, great effort by him. Another one of the Texans' young studs, no doubt about it. A missed field goal as well. Then the most embarrassing kick return touchdown that I can remember. The up back fumbles the ball around. Then everybody gets out of leverage, doesn't keep contained, and lets that man stumble down the field all the way into the end zone. 3-phase loss. Awful, awful stuff. It's embarrassing for the Jaguars coaches and players, and it's embarrassing for the fans that go out there, sit in the unbelievably hot temperatures in these September games. And then now you have 2 straight games in London. Got to go back to the drawing board and get right, because you're playing the Atlanta Falcons, who, if you don't bring physicality on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to run the ball all over you with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. And they've got a much better defense than they have had in recent years, led by Ryan Nielsen. Added a lot to that defense this year. That's going to be a tough matchup next week. And then you play the Buffalo Bills, and we all know how good they can play football. I mean, the Bills, despite what you saw in week 1 from Josh Allen, when they're on their game, they're one of the toughest teams to beat in the NFL. And the Jaguars just lost to a team that had not held a lead over the first 2 weeks of the season until week 3, until they came into Jacksonville and beat down the Jaguars 37-17. You're 1-2. You've got to pick yourself up and play with more effort, especially defensively, in my opinion. More focus, not dropping the football when you have plays to be made, not fumbling the ball, not picking up untimely penalties on offense. Got to bring more focus. They looked like an unfocused, unprepared, unphysical football team. We will dive deeper into this one tomorrow. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. You can follow me on Twitter, @JordanDeLugo. Again, I really appreciate y'all tuning in. Sorry you had to suffer through another miserable day of Jaguars football for the second straight week, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and special teams this week. Absolutely brutal. Brutal stuff. But again, I appreciate y'all being here and appreciate your support. And we'll be back tomorrow with a deeper dive into the Jaguars loss, some more takeaways for y'all. But I hope you're able to enjoy the rest of your Sunday to the best of your ability. Y'all have a good one.